welcome to the seven seals of the book of Revelation. By the special grace of God, today we'll be considering the sixth seal, and that's seven seals. The Bible says in the book of Revelation, chapter 6, verse 12.
I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake.
This great event took place on November 1, 1755. Then occurred the greatest catastrophe that has ever been known since the time of the flood. On that day occurred the great earthquake in Lisbon, Portugal, which not only shook Lisbon, but also much of the earth's surface.
It's 1755, and All Saints' Day starts like any other day in Lisbon.
Suddenly, everything began to feel different. The seagulls began to screech, and then the tragedy started. The houses came tumbling down, and people thought, this is God punishing us. And then the tsunami came.
Nós estamos a falar de muro de água de cerca de 5 metros de altura.
After that, a huge fire broke out. Everything went up in a flame, the whole city.
It was one of the deadliest earthquakes the world has ever seen. Tens of thousands died. Lisbon was destroyed.
According to Nelson's New Loose Leaf, and that encyclopedia, he said that the Lisbon earthquake, which occurred on November 1, 1755, is the most notable earthquake in history. There have been several earthquakes in the history of the world, but all agree to the fact that this earthquake in 1755 takes first rank. Yes, very large earthquake has occurred after this, and there would still be bigger ones, there will still be bigger ones. But the prophetic time in which it occurred and the following signs that Jesus prophesied and which are also predicted in the same order and manner in both the Old Testament and the New Testament, there is no doubt that this is the earthquake mentioned in the book of Revelation. Friends, this earthquake occurred on a holiday. It was on a Sabbath day, when these people were gathered in the cathedrals, and many thousands were killed in these churches. Then those who rushed to the waterfront to save themselves perished with the tidal wave that swept in. According to a shipman, he said, and I quote, "The fear, the sorrow, the cry and lamentations of the poor inhabitants are inexpressible. Everyone crying, oh, what will become of us? Neither water nor land will protect us. And fire sinks now to threaten our total destruction. The conflagration lasted a whole week." What a great day it was, my people. The people were filled with fear, falling on their faces in prayer. They thought that the end of the world has come. According to journals in the history and philosophy of earthquake, or the effect of the earthquake of 1755, we are distributed over nearly 4 million square English miles of the earth's surface, greatly surpassing anything of this kind ever recorded in history. The sixth seal was opened with a great earthquake. But let us read more in the Bible to see what more that happened. The Bible says in the Revelation chapter 6, verse 12, it says,
And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair.
Friends, there is another event that was to take place during the sixth seal. We find from history that these events took place just 25 years after the Great Lisbon earthquake. According to Noah Webster Dictionary, the dark day, which of course occurred on May 19, 1780, so called on account of a remarkable darkness on that day extending over all New England. The true cause of this remarkable phenomenon is not known. The darkness began, according to history, about 10 o'clock in the morning and continued throughout the day, finally becoming so dark that people could not see their hands before their faces, my people. The darkness became so great that the farmers left their work in the field. Lights became very necessary. That the cattle went to the barns, the chickens went to their coops. The people could not carry on their daily and ordinary labors and activities. It was so great, my people.
On the day of May 19th, 1780, people in New England woke up to find a shadowy fog drifting over the morning sun. Early twilight had fallen within the few hours it passed, and when noon came, the skies were already as dark as midnight. Even the animals got confused by the unexpected darkness. The night birds sang, while chickens in the area retired to their roosts. People had to light candles so they could see what was around them. Since then, it's taken scientists a few centuries to eventually come up with the most probable cause of this out-of-the-world darkness. However, during that time, many Americans were bewildered by the disappearance of sunlight, fearing that the biblical end of days was already at hand. That unusual day of confusion and awe has since been commemorated as the Dark Day of 1780.
That day, God, the dark day, was a very great day. Scientists, as a matter of fact, are still trying to explain this dark day. They cannot say it was an eclipse, for the moon was full and not in the proper position in relation to the sun for an eclipse to occur. You see, the sun, moon, and earth have to be in a direct line in order to produce an eclipse. More than that, an eclipse lasts only a short time. But this darkness lasted from 10 o'clock in the morning through the rest of the day. The Connecticut legislature, which was in session, thought the end of the world was coming. And so they made a motion to close the legislation session. But a man called Abraham Davenport stood up and said, and I quote, "Mr. Speaker, it is either the day of judgment or it is not. If it is not, there is no need of adjourning. If it is, I desire to be found doing my duty. I move that candles be brought and that we proceed to business." So they brought the candles and continued their work throughout the day, even though it was pitch dark. Friends, when we continue to read the scriptures, you realize that the Bible says in Revelation chapter 6 verse 12,
And the moon became like blood.
You see, after the sun was darkened and when night came, it would be supposed that the moon would appear, but it didn't. Finally, when it did appear about midnight, it was blood red, a fitting symbol of the great amount of blood of the saints shed during the dark ages, which just preceded this time we are talking about. And so, according to a man, Milo Buswick, he said that the moon, which was at its full, had the appearance of blood. The alarm that it caused and the frequent talk about it impressed it deeply on my mind, he said. The moon continued, my friends, blood red the rest of the night. Scientists cannot explain this, but the Bible tells us, my friends, that under the sixth seal, it would happen. And so it happened. The Bible says in Revelation chapter 6 verse 13,
And the stars of heaven fell to the earth, as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind.
You see stars falling occasionally, but no doubt the greatest exhibit of falling stars occurred in November 1833. According to Charles A. Young, he said, probably the most remarkable of all the meteoric showers was that of the Leonids on November 12th, 1833. He continued to say that the number was estimated as high as 2 million an hour, for 5 or 6 hours. Elijah Burritt say that the most sublime phenomenon of shooting stars, talking about the one that happened in November 13th, 1833, it covered no inconsiderable portion of the earth's surface, covering the entire vault of heaven with myriads of fireballs. Oh my friends, these indeed happened in history, and the Bible says that they will happen. Now we have had the great earthquake, the darkening of the sun, the moon turning to blood, and the fallen stars in the same order, just as it was prophesied by Jesus in both the Old Scriptures and the New Testament. But then there is still one more event mentioned in the 6th seal, and that we can see in the book of Revelation chapter 6 verse 14. The Bible says,
Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place.
This event is still in the future and will take place in connection with the second coming of Jesus Christ, my friends. We are now living just before that event will take place. The Bible says in the book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 29, Jesus speaks.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory.
You see, my friends, this agrees with what Prophet John has told us. Just after the great tribulation of the dark ages, these things would come to pass. So these signs have been completed, and we are now waiting for the final events, which is the second coming of Jesus Christ. We have seen all these great signs in the heavens, but Jesus tells us to expect more. When you read the book of Luke 21 verse 11, the Bible says, and there will be fearful sights and great signs from heaven. Friends, you see, great balls of fire have been seen coming down from heaven and rolling along on the ground, and the crosses have appeared in the skies. God is hanging out these signs to wake us up in this world. But I sometimes wonder if it will not take a powerful bomb to awake some of us from our spiritual lethargy. Oh my friends, the world is greatly concerned over the flying saucers and the other peculiar phenomena appearing in the heavens. There is no doubt that these are some of the great signs that God is hanging in the sky to warn the world in a startling manner as possible that the end is near. We see saucer shapes and cigar-shaped objects. All of these things are seen striking across the sky. Some are blazing red, others are blue, and still others are orange. The Associated Press recently reported that the world has never seen so many startling signs in the heavens as has been seen in recent times. My friends, you see, we are living between the falling of the stars, which we see in Revelation chapter 6 verse 13, and the heavens rolling back as a scroll in verse 14. And so the next thing that would happen as we await it, as just written in Bible prophecy, is the second coming of Jesus Christ. My friends, the Bible says in Revelation chapter 6 verse 15,
And the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave and every free man hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains.
This surely describes the wicked at the time of Christ's coming. They will run in terror and try to escape the presence of him that is coming. So we have completed the 6th seal beginning in 1755 and extending to the second coming of Jesus. It began in the Lisbon earthquake in 1755. Then we have the darkening of the sun and the moon turned red in 1780. The falling of the stars in 1833 are the next signs. We are now waiting for the fulfillment of the last sign, which is the heavens departed as a scroll at the second coming of Jesus Christ to this earth. My friends, are you ready for the coming of Jesus? If all these things that has been predicted in the scriptures and the Bible prophecy came to pass, that means that certainly Jesus will still come. If he comes, will he be able to enter into a everlasting kingdom? That is a question you must have to answer for yourself. Thank you so much for joining us for today. We really appreciate your presence every day. Kindly like these videos, comment your mind in the comment section. Do not forget to share these videos with at least 20 persons. I believe that as you do this, you will be recommending these salvational messages to people around the world. God bless you and see you in our next video.